Sure, lockdown Imbizo, another session. Before I go any further, thank you very much to each and everyone who's been watching the content, who's been sharing the content, who's been commenting, and we appreciate your thoughts. This is still a very new initiative, and there's the people that appreciate what we're trying to do. So keep those comments coming. Let us know any suggestions that you have regarding the topic, or even let us know if you want to join us so that we can deliberate and unpack on issues regarding our society. So now today we're talking about a very sad topic. It's a sad reality, gender-based violence. Lockdown in Imbizo is underway. I'm vying Edwa. I'm with my people. Today we also have a special guest who's busy on the last number. I don't know who the last number is, and he will let you know when he introduces himself. Let's go around the table.
Hey, what's happening, guys? Welcome to session number 3. A lockdown. Ukehla lona oseka start mara osepoisini chesa.
Sanibonani, mfana kaZulu lo. Suka le emakhaya entumeni, umvuselelo.
Neptal lona mfana sevuta, but all the way from Cape Town okwamanje.
Is it Boniso or is it me? Me? All right, Utsepo, ne? Utsepo, Kamala Mutsepo, last number. Pichikatavi, so he called me in today to be a special guest for the topic because it's a pretty sensitive topic, though, I must say. Pretty sensitive topic. So we're going to unpack it and understand what causes this gender-based violence, because it hit sky high during the lockdown. So it's time we tackle this issue and find out what really causes this thing. All right, then over to you, Taviso.
Usboniso, has he left? Okay, yeah, cool. We will find he's probably experiencing technical issues there, but we're just gonna get into it together. Gender-based violence. What causes gender-based violence? I know. Actually, this question was open to everyone, and I feel like that silence itself. If you talk to the topic, Len, I must say, and I want to say, it's a very uncomfortable topic for most of us as Amachita, and that in itself speaks volumes. Because I think we know very well, Uguti, each gender age, there is definitely something wrong with us. And as much as we are uncomfortable, I want to invite all of you, let's really unpack this. Let's call it out. Skip out.
Okay. Right. So from my understanding, what causes gender-based violence, according to the media and everything, is substance abuse. That's what they always say. But for me, it's a sense of entitlement. You know, guys feel, okay, the male species feels superior than the female in terms of strength, in terms of minds, in terms of everything. So the moment they get a little challenge, they react. Chances are they react physically. And game down, a man has more strength than a woman. So for me, it's a sense of entitlement, you know, power shift. They're just trying to flex the power they have over a woman, because 9 out of 10, a guy will never fight another guy opposed to a woman. Don't choose a woman over a man. I'm talking about those who really do abuse their women at home. You get what I'm saying? So for me, we're in the lockdown. Alcohol is not being sold, but it hits sky high. So can we scrap out substance abuse as one of the reasons for gender-based violence?
Yeah. Samina, I agree with you. Last number, I think Amachita Joe, they can't. I think we can't handle our emotions. Or we can't handle conflict when it comes to an argument. We tend to resort to our muscles rather than our brains. And we believe the only way that we can solve things by fighting. And then especially now when a woman comes to you and challenge because weaker, then you think because you're stronger than squash because and we can't talk about our feelings as well and our emotions, but we rather react than react physically than react kuluma, then one side the problem.
Hey.
So for me, I think, yeah. Okay. So for me, it has to do with certain norms, which are gender specific, which also is bordering on a culture in terms of how we brought up and such that there are certain things that are associated with being a man and certain things that are being associated with being a woman. I'll use an easy example. So if you've paid lobola for someone, does that give you entitlement that umuntu umthengile? And what does that then mean? Does that mean that the person has to cook for you? And if they do not cook for you, do you feel that you are entitled to their services? So those are some of the things. I'm not saying that culture is to blame for it, but I think the stereotypes around it, and such that you see it even not just men abusing women, but also women abusing men. And at times there's to do with the fact that if you're a woman, you feel that if physically you're stronger than a man, you're more inclined to be abusive toward a man. If financially you are more, you're financially stronger than men, there's that inclination to be abusive towards the men. So it has to do with the fact that people have assumed certain things as giving them power over the other person. And for me, that's a big problem. So in South Africa, I think we've got a certain background which to some extent it goes as far as into politics in terms of how men go to work being treated as Utaga boy, and they feel that they're powerless, and the time they get home, that's the only space where they feel that they've got a power over the next person. So it's deeper than just substance abuse or anything else. It's something that cuts across many spheres of life.
So I do agree with most of the points that have been made in terms of entitlement and in terms of understanding what is a man, because there are so many definitions going around on what a man is. A man should be this, a man should be that. And I also think men who perpetrate gender-based violence are even worse than animals, because animals themselves protect females and the weaker ones. What else, Tina? We look at ourselves as a superior species on Earth, but the very same people who fix us food, function. So, and also to touch on the thing about the culture, having mentioned Uguti, so my whole concept on the role of it's different, because even through my engagements with Abantu and the perception that they have about a woman's role according to cultural settings, it's completely different from the perception that they have now. Lento yokuthi ethi umuntu ngiyinhloko, forgetting ukuthi umuntu wesifazane udlala yiphi role, yokuthi uyinsika. Basically, uma uyikhanda, she's the spinal cord. A head alone carries no weight. So kahle kahle everything it depends on our spinal cord ukuthi kube isona esikwazi ukuthi umzimba wonke ukwazi ukufunction. So what I've realized is that us as Amachita, we always nitpick. Even in the Bible, we only quote scriptures that favor us, which boils back to which it's a power thing. It's us flexing muscle, and I'll say one unpopular opinion. Most churches are turned amadoda. actually oppress abantu besifazane. And another example that I will make is substance abuse may affect or may somehow have an impact in gender-based violence. But you've got a case of the Middle East, whereby utshwala abantu bakhona baphuzi because of religion, but abantu besifazane bakhona bayahlukunyezwa. Intombazane izodlwengulwa kuthiwa ibihambelani yodwa kuboshwe yona. And the people who gang raped her will only get 100 lashes. Intombazane izoboshwa 6 months, 7 months. So, like, we just sick as a gender. And also, those who do not abuse women, siyathola sibukele. Singasizi if umuntu singamazi. And one discussion I had with a lady friend of mine was around that. She was saying that almost every female that she knows someone who's a female that has been raped, right? But no man knows a guy who abuses women. And I told her, because he knows it's wrong. So we just sick. We just sick. That's the only thing. We sick.
Hey, Bafo. Sboniso, I think Sboniso hasn't spoken. We're gonna quickly. Sboniso, just be brief. Lapo power Bafo. Then we move on.
I know, Nganizo, guys, and I think you guys have already touched on certain things. I think it's more of a power game, and over and above the power game is the cultural upbringing, where men need to feel more dominant, especially when it comes home. And then I think Unetal also touched in the issue of men carrying baggage that is outside the relationship, and they actually find home being the only place where they can feel powerful. But the thing is, then they show this powerfulness in a very wrong way, which then usually is on a physical harm on the other person. And Umhlongo and I also touched on the fact that we as men are supposed to be actually protecting our the.
You're on mute.
No, I'm not on mute. It says I'm
Okay,
speaking here.
Yeah.
Yes. The one thing he touched on is if a guy abuses a woman, it's very odd what the guy will admit. In my short-lived span, I've actually found out that if your guy is dating someone, and quite in fact, you will be meeting with them as a couple and you'll be spending a lot of time if it's your guy. Make it comfortable for a girl to know what if they were to discuss the guy and the wrong thing that the guy does, they won't feel like they're betraying the relationship with the guy. And I think it's a matter of how do you then bring it up in a confrontational manner, but at the same time protecting, especially when it's gender-based violence, because the moment you confront someone in a very aggressive manner, they may be sort of submissive to you because they are embarrassed, but once they go back to the house, that cycle starts again. So I think it's that matter of we are also responsible for. That's why when we meet our partners, it's not because it's Funa Uber together just for a brio's sake, but we're also trying to create the platform where people can actually try to reach out for interventions when they are not actually comfortable in their space. But then it's a question of how do we then intervene in a manner that makes everything safe and conducive and actually have a way forward than perpetuating the cycle.
Yeah. So sorry, Tabiso, you've raised something. I just want to touch on that before you proceed. You've said, and not just you, but other people as well, that we are sick. Now, in my experience, whenever people use that term, that's a way of not owning up. We are not sick. I think everything is intentional. In certain parts of the world, they are laws or religious laws that are put in place to say that, for instance, a woman cannot drive a car. Now, that person is not sick. The fact that we can divine samachite economy and you will say boastfully to say, or that thing would not happen to you. It means that we are intentional in terms. So the question is, how do we change our mindset? Yesterday I spoke about who governs your relationships. So is it the culture that is built Guinea or extract insane or namachita, or is it what you and the person Ozo and I build together? So if what governs you is outside forces, you're more likely to get into that space of saying, as in, or what you've said in front of Spanban, So what I'm trying to say is we need to own up. We cannot call this a sickness. I think we're intentional about it. And because if you can just apply yourself, your mind, and be able to have emotional intelligence to say, do I tackle this issue now? Do I go on because you know yourself? If you go on, it will trigger some emotional reaction, which might lead into physical altercation. So that's my view.
Hey guys, we've got 10 minutes left. I don't know what happened.
No,
But just to help on the point Uneptal is actually raising around the emotional intelligence. I think as guys, we are very easy to say if someone is coming with a problem. Now, this could be, sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
This could be in their relationship or anything else. We are very easy as guys to say, no, it's fine, Guzodlula, you are a man, you'll just man up to it. Whereas actually someone is crying for alternative for help. Because that's where you actually start to, how many of us actually know our triggers just on this call to say, once this thing happen, then this is my trigger. And once you start become more of the self-awareness, then you manage the situations better. And I think as guys, overall, I'm not judging anyone per se, we actually fail on that. We really do not know our triggers, and we do not even know the people around us, their triggers that actually causes them to trigger us. And once again, once the trigger is there, it's a question of, now that you know, if so-and-so does 1, 2, 3 to you, it gets you angry. At least now you are aware that it gets you angry. Then you actually in a better position to respond to that in a manner that is not destructive than not being aware what actually ticks you off. And if, for instance, that's why when you listen to the guys, usually who are involved in this gender-based violence, like, no, uyang joyela. Like, wait, what does that mean? What exactly does that mean? What is it specifically that she did and you felt like this was the trigger? They cannot answer you, most of them.
Yeah.
okay.
Just because a woman is
In the name
sorry?
in the name of obviously, okay, for the sake of time, we don't have time, so please maybe just have our answers and make sure they're brief. And now I want, for the sake of moving on, I want us to move on. So fine, you've got valid points. Self-awareness came off strongly there from one or two of you guys. Everyone, the thing is, when you ask them if they know themselves, they're going to tell you, really, I mean, I'm self-aware, But now the issue is, what are other practical solutions that are there for us to really curb and fight gender-based violence? Because surely we can't just say you must know yourself with Kwatile and walk out of the house. Some people think they know themselves, and then they go on to still do crazy stuff. So what are practical solutions for someone who's sitting there thinking, no man, I've heard this before?
Yeah, so I'll answer you. This is like a cabbage. It's got layers. Unless if the layer in the inner is sound and is matured, nothing on the outside will reach what is inside, if it's a seed, whatever it is. As I'm saying this is it starts with knowing yourself. So Subodinso mentioned the fact that so the question is, what rules were broken? So in other words, if someone says something to you, what in you was triggered or was broken? Was it, what did she say? So did she say, unamehla makulu? Makulu, and if makulu, move on. There's nothing wrong with that. If it is about other things, it's fine. So those rules, you need to revisit those rules that governs you to say, what are those things? Because it could be something that goes against your culture, but your culture, have you tested your culture? What does it say about women? So for instance, if I wash it because and you feel that, you know what, you should be aggressive. So what are those rules? That's one. That's in you. Secondly, on the outer side, social settings. We need to we need to call each other out. We should stop celebrating abantu abenza wrong. And also abuse is not just physical, it's also emotional. Yeah, so we need to call each other out. We need to, if out is going to, we need to call them out. We can't be celebrating mediocre actions by men.
Just to add on that, because I would say actually the emotional abuse is far more damaging than the physical abuse. Absolutely. And I liked the topic when it said gender-based violence, even though I think we're really giving enough airtime on the guys, and we should, by no means we should not. With the same energy, we should also focus on the opposites, where actually guys are being emotionally abused most of the time by their counterparts. But then that could be a topic for another day because we're running out of time. Simply because I believe that emotional abuse leaves irreparable scars. It leaves people in self-doubt. It leaves people feeling worthless. It leaves people feeling less than what they are. And that is, according to me, far worse than letting the bruise heal. That is a physical bruise.
So I'm on that lento oyishoyo yasibonisa ukuthi reason why I think everyone's focusing on the guys here in terms of gender-based violence is because the stats mostly shows which women are the one at the receiving end of the abuse. Whereas if we're talking about something else like depression, men, reason why the focus has always been on men is because we are the ones who don't talk and end up committing suicide more than females. Not that we are completely ignoring that. So you cause a kuluma with regards to ukuthi it's not a sickness. Reason why I said it's a sickness, I'm not excusing it. Ukuthi the person needs to go for counseling and whatnot. He deserves jail, if not more, if laws permitted. Reason why it's a sickness is because when normal, like you are basically human. Let me not say which window they caught. I think you are human. You know exactly which issue we solve a. So umuntu ongekho normal and who's not human, that person falls away from the norm of how a human should behave and should interact and should handle this in us. But however, I'm not excusing ukuthi no we are cool, or it's no excuse. Wrong. Period. Whether we are cool or not, and the issue which we need to call each other out. One, as kulum singamadoda sitshelana, and two, umasazi siyasabana. Unalokhu umuntu uyayiyeka friendship without you telling them. And also three, I'm gonna bring it up to a broader scale. Part of the responsibility rests on government and SAPS, which no one ever really investigates. Kulama case gender-based violence, because you've got issues such as Stockholm syndrome. And also, if your leaders, because abantu bephuma eCuba umuntu wesifazane ebekwi commit ye gender-based violence, what do you expect ladies? Angisenawo amaningi because isikhathi sesidliwe yinja.
Sorry, just one last thing. When you speak of government, it's a yes and a no. And I'll rather focus on the yes. When you look at the social development, I think government is actually focusing on very wrong things. Yes, they are looking at the cases of gender-based violence, and now we have Department of Women and so forth. But then when you look at the portfolio of social development, it goes beyond building RDPs. It's a question of how do you build a socio-economic system in the country. And I think that is completely neglected. Thank you.
Hey. Yeah, man. Hey, isikhathi sidliwe yinja njengoba nisho bafethu. I think this topic definitely deserves more time. But yeah, when you look at gender-based violence, I mean, you unpack a lot of things. People spoke about the physical side and the emotional side. But obviously there's the one side that we didn't touch on today because of time. And I believe that on its own deserves to be tackled alone. So that's the sexual side of things. So that is rape. Tomorrow, Imbizo, we are touching on the issue of rape. for today, that's it from my side. Lockdown Imbizo.